everyone, it's Sam here. Thank you for watching today. So I wanted to do a video showing you different ways to use the new Creative Cuts dies. So I've got 6 designs and I know lots of you have already started receiving yours. So I thought it would be nice to do this one video so you've got it here for future reference. I'm going to show you how to use it with a large die cutting machine and also with a smaller, the standard size that I know most people will have in their craft room, just so you get to see the different effects that you can create. So these are the 3 new ones. So we've got the circles and tall arrows, we've got curves and squares, and we've got the wide and double arrows. Now I'm not going to be doing any decoration on these. I'm just going to be using white cardstock and just showing you how to fold and cut and just how to customize them, really, because you can use these in so many ways. So I just want, again, just to have this video so you've got it here, you know, to remind you if it's something that you maybe pull out in years to come, the video will still be here. I do have samples to show you, so once I've created all the different cards, and I'll show you ones that I have already finished just to give you an idea how they all look. So first of all, I'm going to use the curves from the curves and squares. I'm going to do an example using every single die, so there'll be 6 examples in this video. Now what I would suggest you do first of all is, I think, again, it depends how you're using them, but if you're using these on shop brought cards, sometimes those sizes vary, so I would recommend that you make your own card blank. So I'm going to make this as a 5x7 card blank, but I'm not going to trim it to the 7 inches in height. I'm just going to trim it to 10 inches and then fold it in half. So I'm just going to put my score line here at 5 inches all the way through, and then fold that in half. Now I'm going to trim this once we've die cut it. Okay, so what I've done, and you'll see this on all of my dies, is I've scratched in a little mark right smack bang in the center. So if I lay this down here, you can see this is 9 centimeters. So I just put my marker there at 4.5. I've done that on the top and the bottom, and I've also done it here. I think well, these have been very popular. We've only got this set left, actually. All the others have sold out. I may look at getting little notches popped into these at the factory. So the notches are there so that now I can line this up onto my score line here. Now on the tops of all of your dies, you'll have this die will cut out completely. All of the rest have these little score lines above. So the one that cuts away, that's the top of your die. So you know when I say top, that's what I mean. And I've also put a little sticker on there just so I know these are designed to work with the taller cards, but I'm going to show you how you can also snip into all of them. That was just for me, really, when I was creating a lot of my samples. So I'm going to grab some washi tape here, or low tack tape. I'm going to flip it over, and you want the cut of the die there to sit along the top of the card. And then where I've got my little marker for the center of the die, that's in the center of my score line. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of tape on there just to hold that in place. Flip it back over, and I just need to make sure that marker now is in line with that score line. And again, just pop that in place. So I'll just bring over my die machine. If you've got warm plates like I have, I would recommend popping some copy paper in between there. You'll just see, it will just ensure you don't get any marks and things on your cardstock. So I'm just going to sit that on the top. I could probably do with replacing the copy paper, to be honest, but I think it'd be fine. And then I'm just going to run that through. Okay, so it's already cut away the top there. So you can get rid of that little piece and just take off the washi tape there. And you'll see there's my piece that's cut away, which is what you want, and then gently remove that. Okay, so you'll have something like this. You then want to have where that piece has come away from you, that will face you, and then you can start popping out all of the pieces that have the score line and fold them towards you. And you'll do this with all of them. Just keep lifting each one up until you get to the top. And then you just want to burnish all of the folds, so just be careful because obviously it's quite delicate now with all the cuts, like so. Okay, so now you can trim this to whatever height you want. This is going to be a 5x7 card, so I want this to be 7 inches high, so I'm going to mark it the 7 there, and then just trim that off. Don't worry about any of that, we're going to tidy that up in a moment. Then with that piece that cut away completely, you just want to add a a little bit of glue just to the top, and then you're going to stick this one over the top so it lines up with all of the others. Make sure the top of it is flush with the top of the card. Whilst that one's drying, you can do that at the end. You could do this next if you want to. You're then going to push each of these under the one below. So you're putting the folded one under the one that stays in place. So it's like the smaller arch. Again, this process is the same for all of the dies. So just spend a bit of time. It will all go under. And the more you do this, you kind of get into a swing of doing it. I like holding it under my hand. Some people like to keep it flat on the table and lift each one up. So just find which way works for you. And then with that last one, when you stick it down, you could just slide it under. I'm just trying to show lots of different ways, but I can just lift that up and just pop that under like so. Okay, don't worry about the bottom one like that, because once we fold it in half, that will, you know, stay down. And if you were having it as a topper, then I would just stick all these little bits down with a bit of glue. But again, I'm going to show you that in another example. Again, I'm just going to use my bone folder there and just flatten those, being very careful not to catch any of them, like so. And then those two little pieces here that are just sticking out, just trim those away. And now you've got that design. It looks like a corset. It could be like laces on a trainer. Quite a few people were, you know, saying how these different shapes reminded them of different things, and they'd work really well for different themes. So some of you might see something else there as well. And then all you need to do now is just carefully fold it in half down the score line. And you'll see now you get that really lovely design. You can just pinch those together, and then again, I'm just going to burnish and burnish all of that. And then you can pop your mats and layers on here. You might want to do two together. You can put ribbon through, and I'll just show you a few examples. So we've got this one here, and you can see I put pink cardstock in here so that when it closes, you can really see that design. It pops against that colour. Or there's this one here where I stuck it onto the front. So when you open it, you can see the design that side, and you can see the mats and layers. This one here, I've just weaved some ribbon through this small section there. And then this one is doubled. So I've just made two of them and then just flipped one around. So you can see I've stuck this one behind. So there's that card there. And then you just stick the other one on there and have it opening the opposite way. And this one I've cut down to 6 inches high. So it was more of a 6x6 size card. Okay, so that's just one quick way using the curves. Okay, next we're going to use the squares. And I'm going to do something a bit different with this one, which I don't think I've done a sample for yet. So again, I'm going to work as if this was a 5x7 card blank. So I'm just going to trim it down to 10. And then again, I'm going to pop my score line at 5 and fold that in half. Again, you'll need a large die cutting machine for this example. And then on this piece, I'm just going to find the halfway. So it's going to be 2.5. So I'm just going to lightly mark with my pencil there and again down here. And then again, you'll see this one I've just marked the halfway on there and also on the front. So what I'm going to do with this one is I think I just want to have this. See, this could be a tall, in fact, we could turn this into a slimline card. I think that'd be quite a nice. So that's the default height of A4, which is just over 8. Yeah, it's 8.25. So I think I'm going to bring this into 4.25 actually. I'm going to change this a little bit. So I've just rubbed out those pencil marks, and then the halfway now is 2 1/8, because that's half of 4.25. So 2 1/8, and then again 2 1/8. What I'm going to do is die cut this into the cardstock. So again, I'm just lining up these marks here with my pencil marks. So again, use a low tack tape because you're going to see all of this. I'm just taking a little bit of the stickiness off, and then just make sure that's in place, and you've got the same kind of border at the top as you have with the bottom. In fact, I'm going to come up a little bit higher because you're going to fold down that top piece. So let's come up to about there. You can always trim into this a bit more if you want to. That's a good thing with these, you can, you know, really customize them. So that's in place. So again, I'm going to run that one through my machine. Okay, and then again, just carefully take this away. Now, if you want to stamp on this, you might put some pattern paper on top of this first. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to rub those pencil marks out. Okay, and then you're going to flip it around, and then you're going to fold everything with the score line down towards you. And then you're just going to lift up this one and pop that underneath, like so. Now you could back this with some acetate, you could turn it into a shaker card, you could put some pattern paper behind here, but I think it looks really nice having that. We flip this over as a feature on the front of the card. Isn't that lovely? So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue just along the ends again. And then I'm going to slide this under because that's what you're going to want to do. And you're just going to stick it just on the ends here. So you've got the same gap there as you've got all the way down there. Like so. I probably could have come down. I came up a bit too high there, but you get the idea. Now, because we're not putting a fold into this one, I would pop a little bit of glue just underneath each of these, just so they don't catch. Now you see we've got that really lovely effect with it cut into your card front. So that's another style to use these dies. So now I'm going to use the wide and double set. So I'm going to take the wide arrow one, and I'm going to make a 6x6 size because I've just done a DL, done a 5x7, so we'll do a 6x6. So first of all, I'm going to score halfway because this is 11 3/4. You're going to score at 5 7/8, but if it was a piece of 12x12, you just score at 6. Okay, so again, we're going to pop this one down, and I haven't actually scratched my markers on this one, so I obviously didn't use this one when I was making my samples in the way that the others are. So this is, let's see what it is in inches. So it's 2.5, so 1 1/4. So 1 1/4, like so. And then this one, you know, because there's the point there, but if you want to just scratch into it, you can. I've already done it. Oh, I must have done a different sample with this because I'd only done it on that side. So again, I'm going to pop this in, and do I want to cut it? No, because I'm going to cut this down to 6x6. So I'm going to flip it over and use my marker on the other side for the top. So just line up the cuts. Again, you can see that fully cuts away. So that one will go at the top. Pop that in place. And then flip it over and just make sure that that lines up with the score line. And I'm going to run that through. Okay, so that top piece has already come away there, and then just take all of this off. So again, turn it around. So this is facing you. We'll tidy all this up in a moment, and you're going to take that out, and you might find you just want to go and lift them all out first of all. Okay. And then fold them down fully. It's just finding whatever technique works best for you. And then again, just lift up the arrow below and just pop that under. If you've got nails, it's quite easy because you can just lift them up. If you've got your double-sided pattern paper, coloured cardstock, you know, the colour and then the white on the back, you'll get some lovely effects with this. Okay, And now we want to trim this down to 6 inches. But what I'm going to do first of all is cut this top section. I'm going to cut it either side. I want to keep the point. I want to keep this point there, because you see if I cut right across it's going to snip that away. So what I'm going to do is cut up to there, okay, and then flip it over and cut up to there. So we've got that point at the top, it's a nice detail. And then you can either include that point with the 6 inches, with the 6-inch high card. So I'm just trying to eyeball there, and that would line it up. Now I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to have it so it's 6 inches by here. It's just a little bit taller. You'll probably find that will still fit into a shop bought envelope, because they do make them a little bit bigger, but otherwise you just make your own. So I'm going to snip down there, and then that will all come away, and take that away. And now you'll see we've got that really nice effect. So that's a good example of how you can really make these your own. Everybody's is going to be slightly different depending on what size they want to make, where they've cut. But you'll see again now you've got that nice point there, and you've got the point at the top. We're just going to fold that in half, and then just carefully burnish all of that. And now we've got that lovely effect ready for you to decorate. And some samples using that die. So I've got this one here, which is a 6x6, and I've popped the ribbon through there, and then I've just used some of the pattern paper with the stamps and dies there. Or you've got a 5x7 gatefold. You can see when you open that up, how nice does that look. And I'm going to be sharing more of the fun folds in time, because obviously they're different measurements and stuff, but I'm sure once you start playing around with these, you'll be able to make your own as well. So that's using the wide arrow. So now I'm going to use the double arrow, and these last 3 are going to be using my smaller die machine. So ways to create pretty much the same cards that I've just done, but using that smaller format. So what we'll do first of all is we'll make a topper to put onto a 5x7 card. So I've got my piece of cardstock here. Now, because it's going on a 5x7 card, I always like to do my matte layers at 4 3/4 wide. So I'm just going to cut this to 4 3/4, but I'm going to keep the length for the moment. So now we just want to mark halfway along here. So it's going to be 2 3/8. I'm just going to faintly put pencil mark there, and again along the bottom. So whether you're using inches or centimeters, just mark the middle. And then again with this one, you probably don't always need to mark the top. It depends again which way you're doing this, which technique. There's just so many different ways, and I can't wait to start seeing how creative you guys get. So I'm actually just going to mark the middle on the back here, because when I stick this down I want it to line up, because I haven't got a score line. So this is the difference with using them this way. So I'm just going to fold that over, and then I'm just going to move it so that that point lines up with that one there. And now you can run that through your smaller machine. Again, take these pieces and then just pop the top one out. If it doesn't always come out, you've got the 2 little holes there, the release holes. And just take that tape off there. Okay, so now turn it around, and you're going to start with that first one with the score lines and start folding them all towards you. Again, pop them all out first if you would prefer. Now we're going to trim away a bit of that, so you just want to start. So yeah, we'll trim that bottom one away. So I'm going to start with that one there, because that's got that piece for it to pop under. And again, just this one is probably the fiddliest out of them all, because it's the double point. So just spend a minute making sure that they all go under nice and neatly. And then again with this piece, I'm just popping the glue on the ends there, and this is going to go under this one here, and you just want to line it up, make sure it's got the same gap there. You're just copying the pattern. And it's nice and straight. Like so. Okay, so now I want to trim this down to 6 3/4 because I want it to sit on top of my card. So I'm just going to trim along the top first of all, like so. We'll cut those pieces away in a minute, and then pop that at 6 3/4. And I'm going to move that piece out of the way. In fact, I'll probably cut that away. Yeah. So can you see the 2 points sit perfectly on the blade? So then what I'm going to do is cut that piece off because we'll stick all this down. So I'm just going to tidy that up a bit there. Let's cut these pieces away. Like so. And then, I mean, you could leave it on if you want to, but that is a perfect size topper for the front of my 5x7 card. So I'm just going to grab my sharper snips there, and I'm just going to cut into that one and then across that one there. So again, we don't need that because I've just tailored it to obviously the size that I want. So because this is going to be a topper, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue just where that sits over the one below. Again, if this was a fold, you'd have a score line running through the middle and that would hold the bottom one down. So now I'm just going to stick that one down. Now if you've done this with the curve one that I done first, this looks really nice as like a corset effect, and you could have the ribbon, you could pop the ribbon through before you stick it down, have a nice bow at the top, and then your sentiment. But you could have thin ribbon coming up here, you could have a nice die that's maybe like some leaves or like a climber plant, and it could be a garden themed card, you know, it's entirely up to you. But now look how cool that looks, and you've still got that kind of 3D bounce to it. If you didn't want that, you could stick it all down completely flat, but I think that looks really nice. You put some pattern paper down each side there. But yeah, the double arrow and the curve I think are my favourites, along with the square. I really like that one as well. Now we're going to use the circle one, and I'm going to show you how you can turn this into this style card. So although you can't run that through this way in your die machine, I'm going to show you how you can still create this style card. So I'm going to pop a pencil mark at, I'm going to do 1.5 and then 1.5 along the bottom. And I'm going to scratch in my halfway. So this is 1 1/4, so just 5/8 there, and just about there. So I want to sit this on top and then tack this in place like so. And then I'm going to trim this so it's 3 inches, because then that's got the same on that side. Like I said, it doesn't really matter too much about that. You'll see why in a moment. And now we can run that through, again, our small machine. And you can see, again, it's always cut away that piece. You'll need that really more when you're doing them as taller cards. So, you know, like the DL size I showed at the beginning, 5x7 sizes. If you're doing anything smaller, then you won't need it really, because you'll be cutting them away anyway. So just take that all off very carefully. Now before you fold it over, you want to score through the middle. So this is a piece of 3, but we popped that so it lined up with the 1.5. So I'm just going to follow my pencil mark and just score all the way through the middle. And someone said this would look really nice. It reminds them of horseshoes, so it would be good for a good luck card. And actually the squares, I forgot to say, a lot of people said that it reminded them of a watch strap, and I'm waiting for someone to share their version using like silver cardstock. If not, I'm going to do one because I've got a really nice clock face as well, so that'd be some more inspiration. But I think this could work as a watch strap as well. So again, I've just flipped it around, and you're going to fold, let's fold them all first. I'm going to pop that one under each one. Okay. And again, very carefully, just burnish all of those. And then again, I'm going to add a little glue just on the tops there. And then you want to lift that up so it goes underneath like all the rest. And you're focusing on the gaps here. You want that to be the same gap with this one. And just make sure that half circle's nice and straight along the top, like so. Next, I want to trim this down to 7 inches tall. So I'm going to start with the top there. Yeah, that's fine. And then flip that around, sit that at 7. And then when I cut this piece is going to come off because obviously it's attached to that bottom bit. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue under there. And then lay that back in. Obviously let your glue dry. You'll have that effect there. And then if you want to remove this section here, you can. You can see how it looks without, so you know it does look really nice, but I'm just going to follow around and then come under like so, and then fold this in half. So now what we've created is a hinge effect, and that should all line up nicely. So next I want to cut the front and the back of the card, but you want to take into account this bit here because we're going to stick it on these sections. These are like our tabs. So you just want to measure the width of this piece here, which is, it's 5/8. So I want to cut these so that they are 4 3/8 of an inch by 7. You know, I'm being quite exact with the sizes just for those that buy the shop bought envelopes. But if you make your own envelopes, then you know, you could just cut them to 2 pieces of 5 by 7 and just stick them on top. But now if I line them up with the line on that piece there we go, and then flip it over. So you've got exactly the same looking card, but you've just put it together slightly different. So it's more of a deconstructed style. And then this one, I'm going to line up with the one below. And the nice thing about this is this could be a completely different colour to the rest of the card. So if this was a coloured or pattern paper and that was white, you can see how that really stands out. But there's one where it was just one piece of cardstock, and you can see they look exactly the same. The only difference is this is 3 separate pieces. But make this a feature. Again, if this is a different colour, then you could have separate mats and layers in here. I think it would look really nice. So hopefully that gives you lots of inspiration if you've got these dies with your smaller machine. Okay, so that one's using the circles. We've just got one more left to do. Okay, so first of all for this one, we're going to do, we want 2 pieces that are 4 1/4 by the default A4. So it's a DL size, so I'll do that one, try and use all my scrap card here, and then this one. And then again, we're going to mark the halfway, which is going to be 2 1/8. Just lightly with your pencil because you'll be seeing all of this like so. And then I'm going to sit this down, so I'm going to leave it in the middle, make sure it's all nicely lined up, and then get that one die cut. Okay, so carefully take that all away. You'll see the top one has cut out there. So flip it around, pop them all out. Okay, you can see how quick these ones are, and then just fold it underneath the little point below, and then just burnish all of that. And then the top one, a little bit of glue, and you're going to pop that under there, and you want the same little diamond shape here at the top. So if you focus on that, and then everything else should line up, make sure they're nice and straight, and then you can do your stamping and all that good stuff. I'm just going to rub away the pencil marks. And then this piece here is going to be the hinge. So you can have it as wide as you want. I'm just going to do 1 inch wide. by the same default width of A4, which is the height of this DL size card, and then I'm just going to use my scoreboard and I'm going to score it 1/2 inch. I'm just going to fold that in half. Make sure you burnish that well. This would look nice, well, any of these, but they'd look nice as a top folding card as well. And then I'm going to add my glue all along one side. And the card's going to fold this way, so I'm going to pop it on the left hand side and just spend a minute getting that nice and straight. Use your bone folder again just to make sure that's all secure, and then you're going to pop your glue on this side, and then again just sit this over the top. If they, you know, if it ends up not lining up slightly, you can always trim it, but that's worked out really nice. Again, just spread that glue out, and now you've got that lovely effect on the front of your card. Really clean and tidy here, and then you just see that simple strip inside, which I don't think anybody is going to take any notice of. So it just shows you, you know, looking at them like this, you wouldn't know that those were using 2 different size die cutting machines. So again, hopefully that helps those of you that do have the smaller ones. And just to show you some examples, I didn't show any using the square. You can see how it looks through the center here, but I've done it as a topper, so more like that style. You can see it there, and on this one here. I just love these versions. I just think they're so pretty. So that's the square that way, but then there's also using the square on a 6x6. So I snipped into it, and you can see how you've got this different effect. And then that's a gatefold. You can see all the detail inside. And then we've got the circles. So here's a gatefold with the circle detail, and you can see inside there, and also on this one it's got it running through the middle as a topper. And then the double arrow, this one here, which is a really nice fun fold. And I've got these 2 gatefolds because I was making a lot of you know, cards when I was doing the demos. So you've got that one there and that one. You can see the difference. So this one I've got the point at the top, that one's got the point at the bottom. So again, just change them all up. And then the double, you've got this one here, which is on the side, and I actually glued them together and had the card. I just added a score line in the back there. Thought that created quite a nice look. You've got a double here, which I just love. I mean, I'll be decorating this a lot more when I do go to give them out, but I think that looks stunning. There's this version, which again, just a different kind of fun fold. See all that lovely detail. And then I've got this bridge fold style card. You can see there how that looks as well. But it looks lovely just as a topper as well. Lots of different ways. So I hope you've enjoyed those 6 creative ways to use the Creative Cuts. So we'll just do a quick recap. So first of all, we used the square. Again, you can see there that watch strap effect. It really does look like it. So you've got those 2 there. So you've got the DL size, and then that was a 5x7. Then we also used the wide arrow to make that 6x6 version. Now, to make more fun folds, you could just add a score line here and here, and already you start to get a different shape. You could add then another score line in the middle, and you've got a really creative looking card. So just play around with it. That's the nice thing about these, is you really can start to make your own shaped cards. And then we then used the dies on the smaller format machine. So you've got the double arrows as a topper, you know, backed with a coloured card base there. Then we used the circles on the edge, and then we just created the front and back panel. So this was, you know, almost, we die cut it into the hinge, I guess. And then you've got the tall arrows on the front of that DL size card with the hinge inside there. So as always, thank you for watching today. I will link as much as I can in the description box below. These 2 sets have already sold out. We've just got a few units left of this set, but that could already have changed by the time I'm making this video and I pop it up. So I will also share the rest of the collection with this as well. And I've got a video that I've just got to finish editing showing how I make all the beautiful flowers, which you would have seen on some of those samples. If you've enjoyed today, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit the thumbs up because it really does help my channel. And yeah, I'll be back again very soon with more tutorials showing you some fun folds using some of these dies. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again. Bye.